Salute, comrades. You're now tapped into Behind the Walls Talk. I'm your host and founder, William Thomas McCallum Jr., the voice from within and soldier for the silenced. This isn't just a podcast. This is a platform, a battleground for truth, a microphone for the voiceless. We're here to amplify the stories of the incarcerated, the men and women whose voices have been buried beneath steel, stigma, and silence. Here, nothing is sugar-coated. The truths aren't ignored, erased, or rewritten. They're raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically real. Whether they're doing time for past mistakes or enduring the weight of injustice, their stories matter, and they will be heard. This is about more than exposure. It's about awakening. We exist to spark dialogue, ignite reform, and demand liberation. We're not begging for sympathy. We're building a movement. So stay tapped in, stay locked in. This is Behind the Walls Talk. Welcome to the revolution. This interview is more than just questions. It's a platform for truth, growth, and humanity. Every story we hear behind these walls is a story the outside world needs to understand. So to our guests today, thank you in advance for being open, honest, and courageous.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
This is your space. Your voice matters here. So let's begin. What's your name, your opus number, and where are you from?
My name is Keith Evans. Opus number is 0680271, and I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay. What were you convicted of, and how much time did they give you, Mr. Evans?
Well, I was convicted of first-degree murder back in 2000, March 3rd, 2000, and they gave me Class A life sentence.
Okay. Are there any specific details that you would like to explain to the listeners about your case?
Oh, man. The main thing is the details. And like you said, any great details. One of the main big things about the details is the law. The law says certain things, but a lot of people don't even follow the laws. You know what I mean? Like evidence that they so-called present at trial, a lot of it is fabricated. They take advantage of a lot of young guys, such as myself. I was young, immature, ignorant, things of that nature. So I was taken advantage of as far as like signing documents. I didn't know what I was signing. You know what I mean? Other things as far as like presenting the defense, you know, I was young, so of course I'm gonna listen to the lawyers because I'm feeling it's just my best interest is in their hands, which in some cases it wasn't because a lot of things that my lawyers were supposed to do, they did not do. And by me talking to other guys in the prison, you know, I mean in jail, you know, I'm getting curious, so I write down little questions. So when I present them to my lawyers, ask these questions, or isn't your job title to do this, to do that? And you know, like I said, being naive, I'm listening to what the lawyer's telling me, which wasn't in my best interest. So a lot of main things that transpired to me, I mean, I can't really fault myself because, you know, I suppose I've been up on learning the laws and just fighting for my own rights, my own freedom. But basically, you know, I left my hands in the lawyers. I left my fate up to the lawyers, and as you can see, I was convicted of life. I was convicted of Class A life, first-degree murder, and I've been down 27 years. So it's been a struggle, man, over the years.
How old were you when you came into the system, and what were you feeling at that time?
I was 20 years old. Matter of fact, I just turned 20 years old, so I was only 20 years old in the streets. The rest of my 20s, 30s, 40s, I've been incarcerated. At that time, you know, I was feeling young. I was naive. Not really scared, but I was listening to the so-called code of the streets that we have. You know, keep your mouth closed. Don't say anything. You know, plead the fifth, ask for lawyers, things of that nature. But I was one of the unfortunate ones. That situation didn't play out too well for me. You know, it's an episode of this TV show called The Chappelle Show, where he had an episode called When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong. Well, I was one of the situations where I so-called kept it real and everything went wrong on my behalf. I was convicted. Another guy that was supposedly charged with me the charges were dropped against him, and he's been out there on the streets since 2000, and I've been incarcerated ever since.
Well, we're definitely going to make sure that your story get heard, man. Make sure that these details and everything get out to the people in society so therefore they can listen and hear your story, your journey, and everything that you're going on, that you got going on within your case. Let me ask you something. We're going to go back to we're going to change a little bit.
Hold up.
Go ahead. What was you about to say?
No, I was about to say, I was just here thinking that me being so young, you know, I was early on in my years, I had a lot of time to reflect on a lot of things. And I was saying, you know, a lot of things that transpired within my case, you know, as far as like detectives, so-called police doing interviews, so-called FBI agents, the pathologists, forensics, a lot of things of that nature. Like I said, a lot of that evidence and things of that is fabricated. So by me being now at the age I'm at now, 47, you know, I've had a lot of time to reflect on life, study law, do my own little research, reach out to different individuals as far as pertaining to forensics, FBI, pathologists, anything of that magnitude. You know, I've done my own research. I've reached out to other individuals who specialize in them fields, and you know.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
You know, we all came to the same result that, you know, they don't see how I was convicted due to what they presented at trial. You know, I feel as if there's no way I should have been convicted. But you know as well as I know, when they want you, they're going to get you any way they want to get you. You know, every case has holes in it. There's all different type of false errors, but they're going to always put their careers first. You know, it's going to always come down to us, the individuals, to, you know, get ourselves free.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
It's their careers over the people, and there's profit over the people. It's always been like that, and that's one of the problems that, you know what I'm saying, that we're dealing with right now as we speak.
Indeed. I mean, I'm gonna give you an example, right? Yeah, my son had just turned 1 year old in March. His mother turned 20 in May. I turned 20 in June. October, I was locked up. So I've been locked up ever since October 29th, 1998.
What's his name?
My son name is Jawan. He's 28 now. He has 3 daughters. So I'm a grandfather now, which is a blessing.
That's all right. That's right. How does it feel being physically absent from your child's life? Like, what did you do to be there present for them mentally and spiritually?
Oh man, it's a big hole. I mean, it's draining. It's a sad feeling, but in the same sense, you know, life goes on. So I've always kept a positive attitude out of life. You know, I've always wrote my son letters, sent him cards at holidays, made sure his mother or my family brought my son to visit me because I wanted to try to build a father-son relationship at the beginning of them stages versus, you know, him being young and my presence not being there, my presence not being felt. You know what I mean? It'll put a strain on our father-son relationship or bond. And I never wanted to have a distance relationship between my son and I. I've always wanted to be upfront with my son. Any questions he may have, I've always been truthful with him. You know, certain situations transpire, you know, I support my son financially. Not only that, I call him, give him wisdom, follow the advice. You know, everything that a father is supposed to do, I've tried to do that from behind the scenes. I tried because I put all my effort into it to try to fail. But, you know, I put all my effort toward it to make sure that I was a father figure or a father to my son by any means necessary. Just because I'm incarcerated I wasn't going to let that deter me from being a father to my child. That's my duty. I can't speak for other individuals, but me being the man that I am, the father that I am, and the way my mother raised me, I had put my son first. Even though I was incarcerated, like I said, I put my son first. Everything else is just a motivation to get back to my son.
That's right. I definitely understand what you're speaking about, man, especially when you're talking about giving your son the truth and, you know what I'm saying, being honest with him and being there for him spiritually and mentally through everything that he's going through out in society. Because my son, 22, he just turned 22-year-old himself, and, I've always been truthful with him, always been there for him the best way that I possibly can, gave him the best advice that I possibly could give him in any situation that he goes through. So I definitely can understand what you're speaking about, my brother. I'm a father, too, and I love my son to death. I got a grandson now, and, he's going to be the same way. He's going to be the same way.
Blessings, bro.
Let me ask you, do you have anyone in society who supports you, family, friends, or partner?
Oh, man, family, they've been there since day one. Friends that I grew up with, been there since day one. Even other individuals that I came close contact with in prison, brothers that I met in prison, they done built bonds. They got out in the street, they support me financially. So it's like, I have the support out there in the streets. I mean, not to brag or be boastful, but I definitely have the financial backing, the family support, spiritual, mental. I have all of that out there in the streets, regardless of what background it may be. I'm from the Islamic aspect, but, even though I have brothers from our Islam community supporting me, or Sound 10% Mutiny supporting me, I have families out there in the Christianity community that support me. So I have a lot of support out there in the streets, man. They keep me on a straight narrow path. Huh?
Out of the respect that you have for them, what would you like to say to them?
I mean, they're great. I'm grateful. I mean, all I can say is I'm blessed to have their support. I'm grateful that they're by my side. I mean, I also give all blessings to Allah, the Creator, man, because without Him, I mean, there's no telling where I would be at, where I would be at in my life, what mental state I would be in, or the type of man I would be today, man. Because not only was my son my motivation, but my family and friends, they've always been my motivation as well, man. Just doing it, they got my back.
That's right. Hey, tell us about your childhood. What experiences, traumas, or conditions shaped your path?
Let me see. I started with a two-parent home, but eventually,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
it's long. Eventually, like I say, my parents separated.
Excuse me, my brother. And we're going to get back to this question. I want you to hang on and call me right back, okay? Behind the Walls Talk will continue. Behind the Walls Talk continue with Mr. Evans. Hey, Mr. Evans, tell us about your childhood. What experiences, traumas, or conditions shaped your path?
Like I was saying earlier, I started off with a two-parent home. Eventually, like I said, my parents separated at a young age. But I was raised basically by my mother. I grew up in a household with an older brother, Jermaine, older sister, Shonda. Then it was me, of course, Keith, and then my little sister, Beverly. We was always tight, experienced everything together, with schools, parties, parks, recreations, things of that nature. So I pretty much grew up in a single household with a strong woman, my mother, good-hearted, hard-working woman, independent. She's old school, so she's one of them type of females. She's headstrong, don't like handouts, things of that nature. So a lot of things that she grew up.
This call is from the North Carolina Correctional Facility.
Yeah, a lot of things that she endured or she grew up through, was instilled within me as far as work ethics, being independent, self-sufficient, things of that nature. Helping others out, just things of that nature, like far as like traumas or anything like that. I mean, nothing of that magnitude. I mean, just like you say, ordinary childhood, fighting with other kids in neighborhoods, things of that. Just the usual average kid neighborhood. Nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing crazy.
This call is from the North Carolina Correctional Facility.
Yeah, no, nothing dramatic or anything like that, other than my father's presence not being there. I've had my big brother, so he was like the male role model in my life. But other than that, everything was good, so-called gravy.
Okay. Hey, what did you want to be growing up? What were your dreams before the system got involved?
Not really. Not. I wasn't one of the type of guys that was trying to look for an athlete or nothing like that. You know, one of my biggest dreams growing up was be successful. That way I can take care of my mother. You know, that way she wouldn't have to work so hard. Things of that nature. You know, by me being a man growing up under my mother, you know, one of my goals was to, you know, please my mother. You know, take some type of burden or relief, stress, and strain off my mother's back. You know, because she raised 4 kids on her own. So that was one of the main things I wanted to do when I wanted to grow up, be successful. That way I can take care of my mother. Not only that, but, you know, be there for my brothers and sisters. You know, of course, my older sister ended up getting pregnant, so I ended up having 2 nephews. So that played a part in their life as well. So, you know, I just wanted to be not another statistic, but, you know, somebody that was successful in life, that way I can, you know, help my family out, things of that nature.
That's right. Let me ask you this right here. Have you lost any loved ones while incarcerated?
Man, I lost a great deal of friends and family over the years, man. I mean, please don't take it the wrong way. That's like a touchy subject right there for me. You know, by me being in here and me not being able to communicate with them or attend the funerals, it still does something to me, man. So, you know, the last person I lost was my nephew, my youngest nephew, that's you know, that's not a good memory I want to dwell on. But yeah, I've lost a lot over the years, man.
How do you deal with the grief, the loneliness, or the trauma behind these walls?
Honestly, man, I mean, I read. I mean, not only, you know, did I read my religious material, you know, read law, you know, I read. You know, I stay around other individuals that's positive, so I'm constantly elevating my mental as well as my spiritual. That's one of the main things I do. I've always been a bookworm, so, you know, there's an unlimited amount of knowledge that you can obtain. So to try to keep my mind off of negativity or to keep my mind off of grieving for others, you know, I think positive, read, and, you know, just try to keep my family that's already out there, try to keep everybody together, you know, keep everybody else, you know, level-headed, you know, and insane.
You're Muslim, right?
Yes, I am.
What's your favorite book outside of the Quran?
You may think this is wild, but a dictionary. You know, outside the Quran, a dictionary. I mean, you'll be amazed, man. If you could see my locker, like the type of books I have in my locker. I have right now. I have medical books. You know, things dealing with your body. You know, taking control of your body, medical symptoms, controlling your diabetes, blood sugar. This book says the science of strength. I got tooth disorders. You know what I'm saying? I'm an avid bookworm, man. You know, like I said, I have my Quran, which is a blessing. I read that every day. Get my literature in. I recite the Quran. There's a lot of things I can recite off the top of my dome, which I don't like to be. It's, you know, some people I say they call parrots. You know, a parrot can mimic things, but they don't know why it's saying it. It just mimics it. So, you know, when I recite the Quran, you know, I demonstrate, break down things of that nature. But, you know, like I said, outside of Quran, you know, a dictionary. I mean, it may sound crazy.
Okay. Yeah, see, I'm a bookworm, too. That's why I asked you that question. You know, I love to read books, too. I read books all the time. I can't lay down. I can't go a day without reading a book, just reading something. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely on that wavelength with you, too, as well. What has your prison experience been like? Physically, mentally, and emotionally. What has your prison experience been like?
Oh man, the prison experience has been. This may sound crazy, but it has shaped me to be a better man than I was. You know, being that I'm around.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
You know, being that I'm around thousands of different personalities, you know, it teaches you patience. Not only that it teaches me patience, but it shows me who I need to surround myself around and who I don't need to be surrounding myself around. You know, of course, you know, we have the weight pile. You know, I work out, keep my physical, and you know, got to keep my physical working. Got to work your physical as well as your mental. So when I work my mental, like I say, I read my material, I read all of my literature. Not only that, but you know, I deal with other brothers in different communities. That way, we keep a positive aspect and keep.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
As far as my emotions, I keep those in check. Because, like I said, I'm around thousands of different personalities every day throughout the course of the year. So it's like I've seen this type of personality before, but it's just a different name or a different face upon it. So I already know how to, you know, move about certain things in life. So these 27 years, it's been a hard journey, but in the same sense, you know, it shaped me to be a better man. What they call it, a school of hard knocks. Some people take advantage of it, some people don't.
Definitely right about that. And yo, what is something people on the outside would never understand about prison life?
Oh man, one of the main things that, in my opinion, that they'll never understand about prison life, is everything's not what it seems to be. You know, a lot of guys that are incarcerated, the first thing they're gonna say, "Oh, he broke the law," or "he must have did something wrong with that," or things of that nature. That's a false narrative. Everybody that's incarcerated is not guilty. You know what I mean? Some people in here are actually innocent of multiple things. Then you have, like I say, dealing with staff members. That's another misnomer because a lot of staff members in here conduct themselves unprofessionally. You know, I'm pretty sure other individuals that may hear this, they know as well as I'm talking about. You know, there's a so-called code, there are these rules, these policies that they're supposed to govern themselves by, but they don't. They expect us to govern ourselves by these so-called rules, regulations, and policies. You know what I mean? So it's like one hand washing the other, but it's not necessarily that thing, man. But like I say, in my opinion, it's just false message thinking everybody's in here is guilty of something. That's not necessarily true.
That's right. You're definitely right about that, my brother. Have you witnessed or experienced injustice, abuse, or unprofessional behavior from staff and administration?
Say it again.
Have you witnessed or experienced injustice, abuse, or unprofessional behavior from staff or administration?
Many a times. The facility I'm at right now, Mountain View Correctional, oh my God. Listen, when I say these people don't play no games, they play no games. Like literally, when we came here like 400-500 deep. So when they moved up, it was a mass movement. The PERT team had to move us. They beat like 3 or 4 people, like literally just whooped them, sprayed them, whooped them, basically for no reason. And that's like, this goes on here almost every day. If not every day, every week, somebody getting whooped on, basically because they feel as if they can do it. And in a literal sense, really, they can do it because if you're not going to fight for yourself, or if you're not going to write agreements, or if you're not going to contact your family to get something done about it, they're going to continue to keep doing the things that they're doing, abusing the law. Right. Really, they're not even following the law. They just pretty much making it rules up as they go, what they see fit. They may wake up one morning feeling as if I'm in a bad mood, this and the case, so I'm going to go to work and take it out on everybody else. But when you got an individual such as myself and other brothers who are striving for perfection, you know what I'm saying, or striving for anything positive outlook, whether it's my community, Islamic community, the Christianity community, the Rasta community, whatever the case may be, when you have brothers in here like such as ourselves who are striving for perfection and try to build positive outlooks on everything, we are like targets because they don't want to see no type of unity. when they start seeing unity, or they start seeing other individuals with books in their hand trying to demonstrate, trying to teach, or enlighten other brothers, they can't stand that. So it's like you putting a target on your back. So then you got to deal with the search being, we want to search your sale, tearing your property up, throwing it all over the place. So it's like, man, it's crazy, man. Like,
oh yeah,
it's crazy. That's all I can say. It's crazy.
I heard after they jump on you, beat you up, tase you, or do whatever they're going to do to you, they be giving high fives and bumping fists and all kinds of stuff. So you know,
of course.
That just speaks about the culture out there. You know what I'm saying? The culture, you know what I'm saying, of what goes on in that prison.
Well, I mean, 99.9% of the staff in here are Europeans. So, you know, I'm not racist or nothing of that magnitude, but I mean, I'm dealing with a facility that everybody here is European. So, you know, by us being dumped off in the mountains, and they feel the same way they feel, you know, the Aryan Brotherhood. I mean, the Aryan Brotherhood is running around, and whatever the other case may be. Of course, you know, they're going to support their own and take care of their own. So anybody of my status, you better watch out.
That's good enlightenment, my brother. Hey, will you please hang on, call right back, my brother, so we can get back to it? Behind the Walls Talk will continue. Behind the Walls Talk continues with Mr. Keith Evans. Hey, Mr. Keith Evans, hey, what rights do you think incarcerated people should be fighting for right now?
Say that again. You said what right?
Yeah, what rights do you think incarcerated people should be fighting for right now?
Ooh, man. The right to just do your time, man. I mean, it may sound crazy when I say the right to just do your time, but just being you know what I mean? Being able to communicate with your family, being able to get your mail.
North Carolina Correctional Facility.
Being able to get your mail, like censorship. That's like a major thing going on within the prison systems right now that a lot of brothers are fighting, you know, dealing with the mail, visitations, that's another one.
That's right.
Just, yeah, you know, the family, building a bond, a family, a relationship with your family is amazing when you're incarcerated, man, because when you have someone outside these walls that you can communicate with, or somebody that you know that literally loves you, you know, it keeps you going to prison. You know, it keeps you sane. So when every day that you wake up in here, even though you hate looking at these walls, you hate looking at certain staff members or other individuals, but just the thought of knowing that I know my family doing all right, I know my family love me, so, you know, that's going to give you some type of motivation.
This call is from a North Carolina Correctional Facility.
Yeah, it's going to, you know, give you that extra boost you need to get through the day. Whether you think about your mother, your father, sister, brothers, aunts, uncles, your wife, your husband, or your daughter, son, nieces, nephew. You know, just that thought alone, man, it's a major plus to any of us incarcerated, man.
Hey, man,
you
definitely
any of them law. Appreciate it, bro. I mean, like, yo, it's like the prison. One of the other rights we need to be fighting for, man, is just the so-called freedom of speech right. That's another misnomer, man. Depending on what facility you at, it's hard, bro. And so when you try to voice your opinion and things of that nature, it's like you're putting a target on your back. A lot of them want you to be submissive. They want you to be obedient, you know, closed mouth, things of that nature. And, you know, speaking your mind or speaking up on something that's right, that's not being radical. That's not being a troublemaker or things of that nature. That's nothing of the case. Because when you are incarcerated, they say your rights are stripped away from you. All right, that's cool. I understand what you're saying. But in the same sense, you cannot tell me how to do my time. So every day that I wake up in here, if I want to be on a positive, outlook on life, that's how I want to do my time. But a lot of staff members want you to wake up and they want you to be on some type of negativity. They promote hate. Instead of promoting love, hatred is always promoted. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that I stray away from.
That's right. And, I'm one of those ones, you know what I'm saying, my wife and they call me a rouser. That's what they call it, rousers, me and my wife. Because, I'm one of those ones that will speak up. I'm one of those ones that will speak up, and I've been in those facilities where they don't like for you to speak up, don't like for you to speak out against the conditions, about their professionalism, about everything that's going on at the compound. And I have been a subject of being targeted. I have been emergency transferred numerous amount of times. Have fictitious write-ups put up on me, locked in the hole for 57 days at a time, just under investigation and beating the charges and everything, So I definitely understand what you're saying about when you have to go through those measures, and as well as doing time. I understand that right there because they put so many limitations and restrictions on us just doing our time. Like you say, with visitation, we're limited to how many visitors we can have. We're limited to the time we can have with our family. Limited to the time we can speak to our family on the phones. Just everything. I wish that we could just do our time too as well, bro. Because and the irony of it all is that the NCDAC and their manual and their policy, they encourage family connections. But how do you encourage family connections?
Indeed.
There's so many limitations and restrictions upon family connections.
Because I don't mean to cut your wisdom, brother, but one of the main things is a lot of things that they say it sound good to the public. So when the public hears these things or they read these things in their mind, they're actually doing some type of reform or they're actually doing some type of what's the word I'm looking for? They're doing some type of like changes, which is not true. Because if that's the case, then a lot of prisons or the so-called recidivism doors wouldn't be continue to go back and forth if they so-called doing what they say they're doing. You know what I mean? If you saying that these laws are implemented for a reason to create some type of structure, then why they're not working? Because they're not working the system. They say, oh well, like you said, let me give an example with me personally. All right, I was at a facility called Marion Correctional Institution. All right, like I say, majority of the place there, they're Europeans. It's just cool. But anyway, like I say, I read. I'm an avid reader. I have a subscription with prison legal news and criminal legal news. I'm not sure if any other
This call is from the North Carolina Correctional Facility.
I'm not familiar if other brothers and sisters are familiar with it, but if you have the finances, please get a subscription to prison legal news and criminal legal news because yeah, man, like I've learned so much reading these pamphlets and these things dealing with laws and other things that go on in other prisons, whether it's federal, state, and other things of that nature, that eventually some of them things started trickling down and they started implementing them in North Carolina. And one of the main things is these so-called drug tests that they're using. They're not accurate, but you cannot tell the staff this. You know what I mean? In other states, they have been complaining about these tests or being giving out false readings. Like they were saying that they were testing breadcrumbs, bird droppings, regular pieces of paper, crumbs of the cake, and it's coming back positive.
This call is from a North Carolina Correctional Facility.
You know what I mean? So I'm at Marion, and you had a guy that just got a nasal spray bottle from medical, brand new. Never broke never opened the box. Okay, he was, he used to get, he used to be spiteful toward the staff, so of course, they're gonna retaliate. Well, one of the ways they retaliate is they opened the spray bottle and said they so-called tested it and said, oh, it tested positive for meth. Like, come on, man, like this is a brand new spray bottle the man just got from medical. Not only that, but they finding like regular pieces of paper. Oh, it tested positive for meth. It tested positive for fentanyl. Now they got the situation where when we buy these muscle oils, now his brothers are scared about oil because they can't, when they test the oil, they saying that the oils are coming back positive for fentanyl and meth. Like, come on, man. Like, you know, the staff know as well as we know, but he'll say we, because everybody doesn't know. But the staff know that these tests that they are using are giving out false readings, man. But the sad part is they are not going to do nothing about it because it's working. It's helping them create some type of financial gain, and that's what all they care about is financial. They don't care nothing about your personal dealings. You getting rolled up. They taking $10. Not only that, but they're taking your so-called privileges, your canteen, your phone, whether it's your tablet, your visitations. So a lot of things that we're losing, you know, it shouldn't be that way. But when you write grievances and certain difficulties, they're going to retaliate. You know what I mean? So it's like if you call your family, get your family to call Raleigh, which I do. I love my family. Cool. And I call anything transpired with me, I have no problem calling my mother, calling my brother, my nieces, nephew, my brothers, my son, my pops, aunts, uncles, friends, families. All I got to do is pick up the phone and call, hey, listen, go. When I say go, they already know they're going to pick up their phone, call Raleigh, call the director of prison. Hey, my brother even called the governor of North Carolina when Roy Cooper was in office. He didn't call Josh Stein's office as well. So my family, they don't play. When it comes to me, any type of injustices I may endure in prison, my family going to go outside these walls and talk to the necessary people they need to talk to. Whether they call Raleigh, whether they call a governor, whether they call the secretary or the deputy of prisons. I mean, hey, that's how we got to do things here, bro.
Hey, you know what's crazy, right? You know, I'm glad that you speak on that, right? Because Behind the Walls Talk is doing an investigation right now because we have some brothers that have been charged and convicted, found guilty for the testing of oil that was found inside their room, for paper that was found in their room that didn't even have nothing on it. You know what I'm saying? And we have them writing grievances right now as we speak, and we're going to have them to file a class action lawsuit when it's all said and done. Because the thing about it is the testing that they're using is preliminary testing, and the preliminary testing are not the final testing. The final testing is the confirmation from the laboratory, and see, that's what they're not getting. They're not getting the final testing, which is the testing from the laboratory. And see, even with the preliminary testing, they're not even showing you the results of the preliminary testing because they're not even doing the preliminary testing. They're just saying this is what this is, and then they're charging them with it and sending them to DHO. But you're not even showing them the DHO, man, where they're getting this positive result of a test from. They're just saying
Indeed. I've personally encouraged other brothers, you know, that got rolled up, convicted at DHO. I personally told them that not only to appeal it, but when they came to them for the write-up or the write-up statement, I tell them quick, man, tell them you want them to send the results. Send that test over to a real lab. Don't just take what they say for it. Like, tell them you want them to send that actual off to an actual lab and get the result, get the test results. Because them was it NR2 not 2 tests. Man, I can't think of the name of the test. I used to know it. Anyway, them little tests that they use, the dipsticks, as they call them, things ain't accurate, man. But if you write a grievance, like I said, if you write a grievance or if you challenge them, they're going to retaliate back against you because they hate to be challenged. They hate to be wrong. Even when you prove them wrong.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I tell you what, my brother, if you know of anybody that's going through this situation right now, please have them to contact us.
I do. The brother that introduced me to y'all, he just went through this situation. The brother named CB, Chris Brown. He just went through this situation. Him and 2 more of my Muslim brothers.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Okay, then we'll get with that after the interview. Okay, if you will, please hang on and call right back, my brother. Behind the Walls Talk will continue. Behind the Walls Talk continues with Mr. Keith Evans. Hey, Mr. Keith Evans, let me ask you this question right here, my brother. Who are you today?
All right.
Who are you today? And how is that different from who you were when you came in?
Ooh, man. The man I am today is 1,000% different than the man I was when I first came in. I mean, it may sound crazy, but, you know, I've always been level-headed. You know, like I said, I got locked up when I was 20 years old. So,
this call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
You know, 20 years old on the world, on this planet, you know, you don't have too much life experience dealing with a lot of things. But anyway, I've always, like I said, I was always been level-headed, but in the same sense, you know, the streets that formed me. So some of the things that transpired within the streets, you know, it ran in my veins. So throughout the course of these 27 years I've been incarcerated, I had to go through a dramatic change to dilute that street mentality, or you know, that the ways of the street that ran in my veins. You know, some of us can't let it go. You know what I mean? You can take an individual out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the individual. Okay, I understand that, but in the same sense, you know, it all boils down to the man you want to be, the individual that you are. And by me, you know, becoming into a more simple Islamic community,
this call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
You know, by me dealing with other brothers who are spiritually enlightened, it doesn't matter what their background was or organization was. Like I said, I have a lot of brothers and sisters within the Christianity community, love them dearly. I have a lot of brothers and sisters within the Rastafarian community, love them dearly. So, 5% Nation, NOGs, love my brothers dearly. You know, our Islamic community, my more signed brothers and sisters, I love all of them dearly because we all have one agenda, you know, promoting love, you know, promoting peace, you know, bettering ourselves, not only just bettering ourselves, but, you know, trying to better everybody around us, you know, humanity as a whole. You know, everything starts with self. So if I can get myself together, then anybody that sees me or anybody that's around me will feel their energy, and eventually their energy going to roll off on them, where they're going to start conducting or carrying themselves in a higher intellectual way. You know, like I say, regardless of whatever an individual's background is or whatever your organization is, everything starts with you. What you want.
That's right. If you could talk to your younger self, what would you say?
Woo, man. One of the main things I would tell my younger self, stay with Mika. Mika's that's the name of my son's mother. You know, stay with her. She was an angel to me. I'm gonna just say it like that. She was an angel in disguise that I didn't understand. I took advantage of. You know, Allah does certain things or put certain things within our path to see if we're gonna actually recognize the blessings that He gives us. And I took advantage of it. You know, she was a good woman. You know, even though she was young, but she was a good woman. You know, headstrong. You know, very educated. Had a great sense of humor. But for some reason, she saw something in me that she wouldn't let go that I couldn't see myself. You know what I mean? So, like I say, me being young at that age, trying to be somebody that I wasn't, even though I was, you know, when my son was born, I feel as if I was a great father. You know, even she'll tell you that I was a great father at a young age, because I put my son first. You know, during the week, Monday through Friday, you know, I may dibble and dabble, you know what I'm saying, in the streets or whatever the case may be, but I made sure I came home to my son. On the weekends, I made sure I dedicated it to my son and my son's mother, or, you know, go visit my mother, things of that nature. So family on the weekends, that was a must. But one of the main things, like I said, I would tell my younger self, stick with Mika, because, you know, a lot of things that I know today she introduced me to. I mean, it may sound crazy, but I've never, you know, had a bank account. I've never thought about a checkbook. I've never thought about a bank card, credit card. You know, some things in life are simple that we don't even take appreciation to. And when I met her, and started dealing with her for the course of the 2 years that we were together, you know, she introduced me to actually getting a job. Don't just try to rely on this so-called hustle as a career. You know, that was one of the things about her that she did that didn't impress her. So-called running these streets, so-called making this money, it didn't impress her. Like, she wasn't fazed by that. You know, so, you know, I left the streets alone and got an actual job. You know, I was making like $450 every 2 weeks, which to some people they may feel as if, oh, that's nothing. But in my eyes, it was something to me because I was actually doing something positive and I was actually, you know, making some legal money. So I actually took more appreciation of that money that I was making because I'm actually working for this money. You know, I'm working hard for this money. I'm actually, you know, meeting people, like we can call them customers or whatever the case may be, because I was working at the atrium at a college campus. So I'm working in the food court area, and I'm actually, you know, helping individuals, you know, with their food, things of that nature. I may help them, you know, they go to the library or find this and on the college campus. So it actually made me more of a people person, you know, working them jobs. But hey, man, she was a blessing to me.
What would you say to young people who are being misled or turning to crime because of trauma, poverty, or pressure?
Oh, man. It's more to life than just crime. I mean, a lot of people might not want to hear that. There's more to life than that, man. You know, we always take the so-called easy road out. Oh, well, it was hard for me, so I got to get it this way. That's a false narrative. Don't never think like that. That's a misnomer. You know, anything that you may want in life, you got to work hard to get it.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
So, regardless of the situation, you know, a lot of people may feel or they may down these so-called foreigners that come over here and get these jobs. But guess what? When they came over here to get these jobs that these individuals did not want, you can't get mad at them for working less for this pay or because they was willing to, you know, sacrifice and to do whatever they needed to do to make ends meet. Because, like I said, them same jobs that we feel as if we too good for, you know, somebody else will get it. So don't get mad at the next man because they're willing to sacrifice for a greater cause versus you standing there with your hand out thinking everything's going to be given to you. The government's not going to give it to you. So if you want ends meet, guess what? Sometimes you might have to lower your standard. Sometimes you might have to swallow your pride or your ego and let that shit go. Excuse my language. You know what I mean? Regardless if you have to work at a fast food or you have to
be a North Carolina correctional facility.
Or you know, do trash dumps or whatever the case may be, because guess what? That's what the reality is going to teach you. When you go out here committing crime, whatever the case may be, and you get caught and you get sent to prison, guess what you're going to do? You're going to be working in prison at a janitor job or whatever the case or job may be in prison, and you only making 40 cents a day or 70 cents a day, or if you got a so-called good job, you're making $1.25, or if you're working in an enterprise, you're making anywhere between like $15 to $21 a week. You know what I mean? So now you got to think about it. Was it worth it? Was it worth me going out here committing these so-called crimes to make ends meet? Because when you get in prison, you're going to swallow your pride and your ego and get a janitor job making 40 cents a day, which equals up to $2.80 a week. But you're content with that. But you don't want to be content with swallowing your pride, getting this job, whatever the job may be, making whether it's $350, $400 a week every 2 weeks or whatever the case may be. I understand there's an inflation. So let's get that straight first. I understand there's inflation. The prices on a lot of things out there in societies have went up. So I can understand individuals' frustration, even though I'm in prison. But my family is going through this, so if it affects my family, it affects me. You see what I'm saying? Because I have to call and I have to talk to my family. I have to listen to their trials and tribulations. So guess what I have to do? I have to be the bigger individual to try to share some type of good energy, or I have to try to get them to understand that it's going to be better. You know what I'm saying? It's going to get better. You know what I mean? So whatever the case may be, regardless of your situation, you got to optimize the situation. They got to make the most of it.
That's right. That's right. Hey, let me ask you something, my brother. Hey, what does a second chance in society mean to you?
Say it again.
What does a second chance in society mean to you? If you could get out, like, what would that mean to you? Getting your case overturned,
Everything.
justice being served. What would that mean to you to be back out there in society with your family and friends and loved ones?
Oh man, it'll mean a great deal to me because, like I said, I've lost a lot over these past 27 years. I can't get that time back. So the only thing I can do now is get outside these gates and be a son to my mother, a son to my father, a brother to my sisters and my other brothers. You know what I mean? I have to be that uncle to my nieces and nephews. I have to be that father to my son. I have to be that grandfather or that granddad to my three granddaughters. So now I have to find a way to raise them. I have to be there for the younger generation now because the ones that are older, I've missed that time with them. I can't get that back. But what I can do is be there for the younger generation now. So now I can shape and mold them in my likeness. You see what I'm saying? Rather let society raise them, I can raise them in my image. Because if I let society raise them, there's no telling how it's going to turn out. Don't get me wrong. I love some of these artists out there in the streets, some of these musicians, not all of them, some of them. But I understand the genre. I understand the demographics. I understand that if you don't teach your child or if you don't raise them at home, the streets going to raise them. They're going to listen to these music. They're going to try to emulate these individuals, which and I'm going to keep that to myself. But, like I say, social media, they're going to raise your child. So it's like we have to do hands-on. So me getting out, being there for my family, that's a big must. That's a great deal to me. Not only that, but guess what I can do now? I've been 27 years in prison. So a lot of things that are transpired within these walls, I've experienced them. So now I can get out and actually make some type of changes, some type of reform. I can start shedding light on a lot of injustices that are going on within me behind these walls. Because I'm still communicating with individuals who are incarcerated. So of course we're going to, each one teach one. So while we keep teaching each other, I would go out here and do some of the same things that you and your beautiful wife are doing, where y'all lobbying, advocating for different changes. You know what I mean? I can be another voice as well, because it takes a nation to raise a family. It takes a nation to raise a child. You know what I mean?
That's right. If you were released tomorrow, what's the first thing you would do?
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Go hug my mother, because that's been my number one supporter from day one. My brother has been there as well. Hug them. That's the first thing I do, hug them. And I have a few things that I've done over the years, for my granddaughters and for my son, positive things. I've learned a little bit about how to deal finances, manage finances, things.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Oh, man. Want me to call right back?
Yeah, call it up back, my brother, so we can finish this. Behind the Walls Talk will continue. We're back with Behind the Walls Talk. And Mr. Keith Evans, will you please continue on with your wisdom, my brother?
Yeah. I was saying, there's a few things other than, embracing my mother and my brother. Like I said, the number one supporters. I got to go to the temple, you know what I'm saying? I got to go check in with the temple, because that's one of my main struggles. Not my struggles. That's one of my main focuses I've been in, and, I've been on in prison. That's my ground. That's my foundation. So I definitely got to go check in with the temple and, reconnect with them brothers and sisters out there. That way I can keep everything going. The positive energy, you know what I mean? Not only that, but studying law, get back on studying law, get back on the religious aspect, promote the peace, the love, and all that things of that nature. So it's a lot of things that I am in process of doing once I get released.
Yeah.
But that's like I said, that's one of the main things, man. Trying to promote this love, man, peace instead of hatred.
First thing is go
too much hatred going around.
Right?
I got to go see them, man. That's first and foremost. Right. You know what I mean? I got to go see them. And my grandchildren, I got to go get them with my son. You know what I mean? The immediate family, the ones that had my back.
This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility.
Like I said, all the friends and family members, things of energy that supported me from since I've been down. I got to go see them. This call is from a North Carolina correctional facility. Got to go see them. Got to, and check in with them. And a lot of things that we have been doing over the years, got to let them know we're gonna keep this going now. So whatever the movement we got, it's gonna be even stronger once I get out there, because now my physical presence is gonna be out there and it's gonna be felt.
That's right. And let me ask you this: hey, what do you want people to remember about you?
Oh man, I went from a boy to a man. Some individuals experience more on this planet than I did out there outside these walls. I spent more of my time incarcerated on this planet than I did actually in the actual streets. Like I said, I was 20 years old when I got locked up. I've been in prison 27 years, so I know more about prison than I do outside these walls. Even though I stay well connected to my family in the streets. Like I say, I'm always reading. I'm always studying. So a lot of things going on in society, whether it's positive or negative, I read about it in the news. I'm an avid reader. So what I want the people to know about me is I'm a well sharpened man. Not only that, but I have a lot of good stuff to do.
Any last words you would like to share with the listeners?
Oh, man. Yeah. Continue to listen to Behind the Walls. Continue to advocate for Behind the Walls. And continue to promote it. I mean, because, individuals such as myself and others, it's the only way we can get our stories out there. So when y'all listen to these stories, inshallah, it'll change you. And hopefully make some type of impact upon your life as well, man. So just stay focused in life, man. Never give up.
Hey, man, I really appreciate this interview with you, my brother. You definitely dropped a lot of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I salute you, my brother. You inspire me with a lot of things that you said. And, and we definitely going to be looking up in the near future. So,
all right, that's a blessing, brother.
Thank you. With that said, thank you for sharing your truth, your pain, your lessons, and your hope. Here on Behind the Walls Talk, we don't just tell stories, we build